Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our ILEETA Live before our 2025 ILEETA Conference and Expo. We are
Conference edition.
Excited. The conference edition of ILEETA Live. There we go. We are under single digits.
Way under.
Way less than 1 week until the ILEETA 2025 conference. And I'm excited. I know everybody else is excited. We've got the ILEETA leadership team here. And if anybody has any questions, just post those in the comment section and we'll get those asked and hopefully answered. I'm sure they'll have no problem answering those questions. But on behalf of ILEETA Live, we have myself, Todd Fletcher, our co-host, and Joe and Ray will be talking about what to expect at the 2025 ILEETA conference. But I want to throw it over to Ray for your opening remarks. And what a great time. I mean, it's just fascinating. All the comments we see on Facebook, everybody is anxious, excited. How are you feeling, Ray?
How am I feeling? I am feeling anxious, like you said, excited. It's been a whirlwind, being part of this organization for a long time, helping with it, but now seeing this other side. But for me, it's like, just watching the emails come through, watching Jen and Jill deal with the membership, the vendors, and the new people. Like you said, the excitement, it's humbling to be a part of this. And to get everybody there now and just put it all together and watch just everything come together it's going to be cool. So excited, nervous, like all the good things, but hey, that's what we're here for.
Joe, how you feeling?
I actually have a question for both of you. And so I want to actually go back to Ray real quick. Are you going to be more exhausted now, pre-conference, or during, or just post-conference? Which is the most exhausting for you mentally, physically, and emotionally?
Right now, like you said, the exhaustion's okay because it's the membership that Jen does, the expo that Jill's doing, and I'm support on some of these things. So right now I'm okay. I think it's during the conference as we're going, making sure we're doing things, how we run around, and then it's afterwards. All of a sudden you have that little few minutes to now sit back and say, "Wow, where'd that week go?" So right now I'm okay because it's the stuff is here. We have it. Everything might have a couple things here and there, but we'll make it work. And with the base of volunteers, including everybody here, they'll make it work. We'll have it going. So for me, that it'll be during that conference on some of it, but then it'll be that afterwards when we get home, that drive home. Hopefully it won't be like some of those years in a blizzard. Just get home and kind of relax, Joel, you?
I would say the same thing. Honestly, you hit the nail on the head. Everything up to this point. So everybody's got their own role leading up to it. And so mine kind of crescendoed with the schedule and all that kind of stuff. But now watching the rest of the team do their part. But I would springboard off what Ray said for the volunteers. I had a conversation by text tonight with Captain Mac. So many people know Captain Mac, Dave McRoberts. One of the many people who is behind the scenes that makes this stuff happen, an advisory board member. But you guys just constantly bouncing stuff off the advisory board, different volunteers that have helped over the year. I mean, just so much to it. I was telling somebody today that there's this feeling when you're doing these major events, like many of us have experienced with the getting ready for our own class or whatever. And Todd, you with Emerson Hour this year, you get ready for this and there's this, have I thought of everything? It's like backing out of the driveway and did I leave the stove on, right? Like, what am I forgetting? That's a big thing. But I was explaining to somebody today that the reality of ILEETA is the connection, that so many of us are covering down for each other. We work in a profession, in an industry where we're constantly looking out for one another. And while some of us have worked in some incredibly toxic environments in this space, ILEETA is not one of them. It's one of the safest places I've ever been. And I fully trust every member, even when I'm maybe not at my best, somebody's watching out for me and is saying, "Hey, did you think of this thing?" And it's just been phenomenal. What a great experience.
And we have the luxury, as much as Mary Grace and Harvey retired, they're still there helping us. We got our training wheels, so the concept helping us. Hey, we've done this. It is that they have a solid base here for us. So it's and everybody stuck around. It's like I said, it's not like a company does things, association does this. Everybody's here to help out. So it's been good.
And I know exactly what you're talking about as far as training wheels, because just like you guys have Harvey and Mary Grace, I have Joe, right, for Emerson Hour, who's guiding me along the way and helping me out. So, Joe, you're exactly right. Nobody wants you to succeed more than other ILEETA members.
True.
Right? It is the place for supporting one another. And I feel it as the MC for Emerson Hours. So that's awesome.
Hey, who are the speakers going to be?
Yeah, not telling.
I'll tell you, not knowing this year, I've joked about it with a couple of people so far, but it is one of the first in many years I didn't know, and I am super excited this year. In fact, actually, there was a brief conversation where there may have been some discussion or whatever. I said, I absolutely, under no circumstance, ever want to be one of the people who knows. I want to get back into that whole excitement of sitting in the audience and wondering who that next speaker is. That's just a big part of it.
See, I know who the speakers are, and I am absolutely jazzed about Emerson Hour. Maybe because it was the ones that I was able to contact and invite and connect with. But I'll tell you what, I am absolutely excited about the lineup this year. So I know how you felt in the past, where you own a little bit, a little small part of it, and so now you've got the anticipation of Emerson Hour, but you also got the anticipation of, oh, what's this person going to talk about, and
right.
I wonder how this is going to come across, because I've got a little snippet of information from this person about how they're going to do it, and it's exciting, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I don't, you know what? I'm surprised. I have no nerves. I don't have any nerves about it right now. It is just absolute excitement.
So and Brian, I know you were just about to say something. I just want to, Todd, respond to what you just said. The cool thing about the Emerson Hour speakers is when you pass the torch to them in that initial invitation, every single one of them will tell you that it is this terrifying moment that is also incredibly empowering, right? It is exciting, it's exhilarating, but it's a little bit scary at the same time. But you've selected them because they're going to do outstanding. So as soon as you pass the torch to them and they've confirmed they're going to be there, that's the other piece that is a little bit nerve-wracking for you until they've said, yeah, I'm in. Then once that's done. And then you pass that torch to them, it's going to be an amazing event because of who you've put there through your invitations. Now you just have to figure out what they're going to say, and then, not what they're going to say, but how you're going to work through that and be ready for it. I'm excited for you, brother. Really am.
And it's going to be great. Everybody's going to love it. We're going to have a great time Monday night.
Yeah,
I just want to, Todd, there may be one or two newcomers to the conference. Can you give us an overview of what the Emerson Hour is?
Absolutely. So Monday evening at 1900, we're going to meet in Midway 5. Is that the right room?
Yeah.
We're going to meet in Midway 5, and we've got 6 speakers that are going to address Ralph Waldo Emerson's question of what has become clear to you since we last met. So it is a completely open-ended question. It can be about law enforcement. It could be about training. It could be about friends, family, health. It could be about pretty much anything that they want to talk about. But they've only got 9 minutes, a microphone, no visual aids, and I don't know what, 350 to 400 of their closest friends. Yes. And it is an amazing experience. You'll laugh, you'll probably cry. Like Kim Schlau says, bring your tissues because you're probably going to use them and share them. So hopefully you're not going to share used ones. Yeah. But either way, it is exciting, and it's going to be a phenomenal experience. And at 8 o'clock, Emerson Hour for 2025 will be done. And then we have hospitality that's going to be brought to us by Warriors Heart. And I'm looking forward to that too. This is their first year on as the sponsor of Emerson Hour. It's a great program, great group of people, and we'll share more about Warriors Heart on Monday.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you mentioned Warriors Heart being the sponsor for Emerson Hour. Let's kind of segue. I mean, we've talked about Monday. Maybe we'll revisit for opening ceremonies the importance of being there for that event and how it kind of charges things. But can we springboard now to Tuesday being one of the other major events of the conference? We've got phenomenal sponsors with Command Presidents and Milo and everything they're doing to make this fantastic event that Milo started many years ago with.
No pressure, Todd.
No pressure, Todd.
He's right about that last comment. I'm just reading it now. That one about the taking notes. That was the hardest part for me. I had asked Brian numerous times. I'm like, how do you do it? I think you kind of have a little bit more of a knack for that than I did. I struggled like that first year. I was like, how the heck? So, but yeah, that Tuesday night event, for years, Milo did this whiskey tasting, and it was, this really cool event to go to. And it was a networking event essentially. Then it grew 3 years ago. Yeah. We're going on our third year now of it being this much larger networking event in Midway East, where we have that larger area. This year, we're going to open it up so when you first come in, authors, so the Meet the Authors thing that we often did during the expo or other times, it's going to be right there. And then we've got the Cornhole Tournament sponsored by Command Presidents, which was a huge success last year.
So much fun.
Yeah. Go ahead. Tell. I mean, if as a group, can you guys kind of share some of the experiences of that and what the so what of it is?
Well, I'll go first, unless Brian, I know. Do you want to go?
Ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Just from the the whole aspect of a fun event, we know how it is between the expo classes to come have a little fun, unwind, and be able to still have those discussions while you're watching, some of the team play the cornhole, and then having the food and everything else. And it was a great networking, that communication of hey, what did we learn today? Talking about the Emerson Hour the night before, meeting new friends, watching the Ukraine's play, explaining all the things going on. It was just a nice icebreaker on those things. And again, it still met that thing of, hey, let's talk about what's going on and get ready for the rest of the week. So that for me, that was it. Just to watch how it's grown in the last couple of years, and this year it's going to be even more successful. We can't thank our sponsors enough for doing that.
There's even one team that had some T-shirts made up that were what were those T-shirts, Dwayne?
Yeah, Dwayne, what were they? He's listening.
Retired. It's something. I don't recall what they were.
Retired but not expired. Yep.
That's what it was.
So there's some people that got into that cornhole event, but it was fun. I've never been into a cornhole, even though I'm from Nebraska. Never got into a cornhole competition, but that was fun. I had a team member with me that I just met for that day, actually, and we had a great, wonderful time. And that's what I would encourage anybody that's going to that event. Grab somebody you don't know and ask them to be your partner for the cornhole event. And have some fun, get to know somebody that you wouldn't really hang around with normally at the conference.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic event where you get everybody together. You have a good time. You talk about the day. You talk about the week. Those of us that have been to several ILEETA conferences, talk about past conferences and people we may be missing. It's just a great time to catch up. It's also a great time to help some other people just kind of get oriented for the rest of the week, right? Because by then they're starting to settle in, they're starting to get more comfortable. Some of the the new faces are maybe starting to come out of their shell a little bit if they're like me and a little bit more introverted, and now they're starting to meet more people. It's a great time, especially for those of us who completely suck at cornhole and we don't take it too seriously. Then it's a lot of fun. So
we'll get the bags out in the shape of little guns. You'll do much better.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like my aim sucks.
What I do like about it over in that midway area, also, like you said, if you're one of those people that don't like the crowds or whatever else, you can spread out. You can go talk over somebody here and that, and have that little bit of room that you might need to breathe. And it's no pressure. Come there for a little while. Go walk around or whatever else, but yeah, you still have that opportunity where it's not the little room. So the improvements on that have been just tremendous. And I'm not sure, Brian, on the same thing. I know as we're going forward, are we going to talk about Sunday night at all, or is that later?
Yeah, we kind of started with Monday. You want to go back to Sunday, Brian?
Yeah, let's go back to Sunday.
Hey, it's ILEETA Live. We can do whatever we want.
We do whatever we want. No, Sunday night, I believe, is a wonderful night for all the first-timers to come and get to know folks that have been around for a while, and also find out what is going to be going on and get to meet some people. What should you go to? What should you see? How do you work the app? Just a whole great resource for first-time newcomers to the conference. Yeah. It is a great event that even the veteran office or veteran conference folks need to attend. You may learn something there as well.
And speaking of, it's not just new members. Like, if you've been there in a couple years coming over, if you've been there every year and still want to come by and say hi because you go through things. And I can't say enough about, the guidebook, that's sponsored by, Caliber Press. But the work that's gone into that this year, as far as being able to connect over for classes and, on the vendor side, being able to click into things. It's just, if you haven't looked at it yet, please do. And then setting up your calendar is going to be the big thing also. Going in there, coming to new members, learn how to do it. We'll have other people available. But then, so yeah, this is where I want to go to. And then the same thing, like you said, meet that new person. Maybe someone been there. Yeah, that's one I went to last year was good, or it might have been last year, a couple years ago. But so just making sure to get all that stuff. And that Sunday is just a tremendous time for that.
Yep. I talked to Jason Dunn the other day, Nubs, about who's presenting, kind of what they're going to present on. And it's a dynamic event anyway. It's, some incredible speakers. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Todd, you're going to be one of them this year.
No, I was one the first year.
So. You were one the first year. Billy's going to be there this year. He's got a great lineup of speakers that I think really kind of represent ILEETA and a lot of the diversity of subject areas, but presenting on all of the same general topic. What's in it for each of us? How to get the most out of it. It doesn't matter what your background is, how to get the most out of it. And that actually kind of brings me to a question that Ben Wallace asked me earlier by text to share with the group and get your feedback on. How are each of you going to get the most out of the conference? And we'll finish with you, Ray. I'll go right before you do. But Brian, how are you getting the most?
Getting the most out of the conference is just, man, there's so much that goes into answering that question. But I think it's the people. It's all about the people. It's the connections, and I'm not a fan of the term networking. I like relationship building, because ILEETA, I had this conversation with you earlier this week, Joe. ILEETA is more than just connections and relationships. This is an entire family that is there for everybody, all of us, not just one time a year, but throughout the year. We pick up the phone and we keep connected with those folks that we have met at this conference. And so I think the most meaningful part of this, training is a huge part. Getting some wisdom, all the nuggets of wisdom that you can gain at this conference is great. But the connections, the relationships, and the family that you gain at this conference is number one to me. Todd?
Yeah, I kind of piggyback off of that to start. Whether it's the events like the newcomers class on Sunday night, and I actually hesitate to call it that, because one of the great things about that event for those of us that have been to several conferences, I think, is that it allows us to share in other people's conference experience. So Brian's experience may be different than my past experiences, and then I hear what he's done, and maybe that'll help to broaden or change my conference experience to allow me to see some new people, hear some new ideas, and those types of things. But then, you've got the great classes during the day, but when it comes down to those relationships, oftentimes those are built in the hallways, at lunch, at dinner, at hospitality in the evenings. And hospitality isn't just a time to get together and kind of let your hair down. It's also a huge opportunity to train and meet new people. I think that is key to the conference, and having those opportunities and taking advantage of those times is really important. And then I think the other thing, that kind of builds on that connections space, I guess, is that I maximize the conference now by stepping outside of my comfort zone. I want to go to classes that I don't know how relevant they may be to me until I'm there, but I want to step outside my comfort zone and challenge what I quote know to be true, or challenge my skill set by going to things that may be more technology oriented, because that's definitely not me. Go to some things that maybe, at least on the surface, may seem counter to what I believe now. Maybe that'll change after I go to a class, or it makes me re-examine or challenge my own beliefs or why I believe that way. And I think that those are very useful for me, because I can say, well, this is what I do and how I do things. Is it the best way? Is it the rightest way that I know how to get things done, right? As opposed to being stuck in my rut and in my own little world. So that's how I maximize the week for me and the people that we train.
So I'll tell you, it's fun, because like we were talking about before about Emerson Hour, trying to listen and then be ready with the next question. And then one of the challenges you have. So my initial thought when I said this, I'm like, okay, I'm going to talk about connection. And Brian took it. I was like, okay, where am I going? Where can I go next? And then it was about going to classes and spending time in the classes and being intentional about the path. And so instead of taking Ray's, which might be to get the most out of the expo, I don't know if it is or not, but I would not be surprised. I'm going to say the intentionality of, so in between the classes, and that you got that lunch hour, you've got the 5 o'clock hour when it's finished, like you mentioned about the hallways, there's this time, and we are one of the most well-known organizations for instructor development and giving the best practices for teaching and learning to people of our institution, our profession. We need to practice it too. And that means both in the deliberate coffee house style engagements, which we now have the Pegram Room, which is a networking cafe. So up in as you go through the expo hall, there's an elevated area called the Pegram Room. And that has often sat there. We weren't really sure in the past how, what we could possibly do up there. So we're doing an experiment this year. We put a couple of booths up there. It's a virtual reality area for when the expo's there, but Pit Bumper's also up there in the corner. They needed a bigger booth area, so we got them the bigger booth space up there. So they're also up there. But we now have this opportunity to go to this coffee house style, have your lunch there, that sort of thing. Be intentional. For me, this is something I'm going to try to do better this year than I have in the past. Being intentional about keeping those notes, pulling a full-fledged Jason Durr or Brian Willis, those folks who are really good at kind of diving into what they learned throughout the day and passing that knowledge along, even in themselves, being really intentional about that effortful retrieval the next day. Some of those best learning practices that we try to impart on others, I'm going to try to be more intentional this year myself about using them. Over to you, Ray.
Okay. Well, I got to go back to Todd real quick, though, and ask him a question, because getting out of that comfort zone, going to a class that you usually went to, what would that entail for you? Because I know obviously you're more the firearms type of thing. What's something you look at and say, yeah, I want to go take that one and get out of my comfort zone? What is it? What kind of
anything dealing with this computery stuff. Whether it's PowerPoint or drones or AI, any of the technology things that is completely outside of my comfort zone. It's stuff that I know I can improve on, that I know I should improve on, and I think that I owe it to my students that if I'm going to utilize the technology to benefit the classes and the training, that it should be to the best of my ability. And I don't know anybody better than the people that present at the ILEETA conference on how to utilize that best for those kinds of environments. We've got people like Antonio Zarzosa, Instructor Z, Dan Frazier on the PowerPoint and presentations. We've got Brian Hill on instructor presentation skills. We've got Carrie Avery on the AI information. These are all things that very much interest me. Halcyon Franks kind of ties those types of topics together into the but also brings it in with adult learning and kind of maximizing the cognitive part of those technologies. So we've got a tremendous amount of talent that are bringing those technical skills to law enforcement training, and that's where I really need to improve, big time.
And I'm the technology stuff, like you said, Carrie, Joe, all of it, just watching some of the AI, did the podcast on that, that just learning from that whole podcast, the webinar, just the things like that. You said you're right, going there and just learning from people and just taking those little skills to make our class a little better, or just keep up with the times. How to teach that next generation that's going to have that phone, that computer, you name it. What you're
I'm not much more than a knuckle dragging Neanderthal firearms instructor. Little chop socky here and there, little firearms here and there. That's kind of my sweet spot. And this technology thing's never been in my wheelhouse. And so if I know that it's a weakness, then I can start addressing that weakness. So.
All right. So the question was, how do I get the most out of the conference?
Yeah. How are you going to get the most out of the conference this year? And you've always been very much involved in the setup. And I mean, behind the scenes, I don't know if everybody knows this, but Ray was like the guy, like the DT rooms, make sure those mats always got where they needed to be, and all the safety stuff. So there was a lot going on. I don't know. I mean, you tried to make it to classes, but you were always busy. So now that you're the executive director, how are you going to get the most, because you're still able to get into some of the classes and get some stuff out of it. So what are you going to do this year?
It's the same, it's kind of the same thing. I want to, make some classes I usually wouldn't, the taking things, would I get to a DT class, something along those, absolutely. But for the most out of the conference always, and this year even more, is the listening. Listening to members, listening to people at the expo, taking that information. Hey, what's going well? How are things going with you? We all know people come there and they're going to be very honest with you. That's why we get the expo because the vendors know they're going to get honest feedback. Expect nothing else from everybody at ILEETA. Hey, how are things going? What can you tell us about it? Looking for the person with the deer in the headlight look. Hey, what can I help you with? And then taking that stuff in and how do we improve? We're always going to improve. It's always going to be that thing. So for me to get that input and just knowing what we did this week, and when I say we, it's everybody out there, all the volunteers, everybody coming to it, and people walk away saying, yeah, this is what I needed from a mental standpoint. This is what I learned from this standpoint. This is what I'm going to bring back. And just for me, that's what I'm going to take in, is just taking that. I've not didn't take time before, but that more time to be able to hopefully talk with people, and then not just or in open ceremonies, not just the hospitalities, but when we're just doing other things, walking around. Hey, can I talk a couple minutes? Yeah, let's walk and talk. So that's what I want to get the more out of it, or hopefully help everybody get the most out of that. Yeah, we're here. Let's listen. Let's talk and see what we can help improve future performances. Gary Klugit's always telling me that's what we're always trying to do.
Ray, ILEETA, I don't think would be a success, as much of a success, if it wasn't for all the volunteers that work behind the scenes. I remember the old days back in Chicago. Those of us that got there early and stayed late, we were rolling out the mats and rolling them back up on and loading them into, and that was a pain in the rear end. And we've evolved since then. But I want you to hit on a lot of the things. What are some of the things, and who are some of the volunteers that really make this conference a success, and what do they do behind the scenes before and after the conference?
Boy, there is a lot of them. I mean, you got everybody over, Jen with registration, and for years, Marla had it, and Jen's got it now. All the different people you'll see there. Ray and Ron now too doing the sales. They got Lisa Ben over there, Roger Ben. Yeah, those names you hear, Ross. A lot of those regulars, but we get a lot of new ones every year. But it's and I can't say there's just A1, but all those people they're working on all those carts. We don't leave those carts together for the whole year. Those get put together. So the guys working on that. St. Louis PD with their recruits coming over there, like you said, work smarter, not harder. We get those young backs now to help put those mats everywhere and help put the bags. You know how many things we get from people? Hey, we're going to be on Sunday. Can we help put bags together? They know that. Come on down. We're not. Yeah, that's what makes it so great. As everybody wants to come here. So that one little event. The technology is the big thing. Like I said, with Roger and Joel working on that, we have a couple of people, because if they call Ray hey, Ray, I need help with your computer, I'm going to say, would you turn it on? That's all I can help you with. Let's get those other people over there. So Tom, you and I work well together. So on that portion, but those, just hammer. It's just so many of those people, like I said, behind the scenes. And that's what's nice, that the experience that we want to make sure everybody has is there is a lot of that stuff behind there. And, Anthony, he was on Emerson Now a couple of years ago, what it did for him. And we get those people, and you're going to see we're having a few more volunteers over there. You want to come out and help? Come on out and help. And I got to say, like I said, it's even like we're talking about the association side there, but like on the vendor side, that's why I work a lot with Mary Grace this year and Jill, and just the vendors themselves are willing to say, hey, if you need help with this is what we saw over here. What a great networking of them, even if they're competitors. It's like, no, this is about, let's do, you guys, this is about what we want to help accomplish for the membership, the association. So that's all I can say. Yeah, I can go through a slew of names on there, but what I'm going to ask you to do, you'll see they'll say, you'll see the members. We'll identify them at the opening ceremonies, but you'll see them around. Yeah, take that couple minutes, just say, hey, thank you. And everybody that just volunteers, this is what do you need help with, or takes that time to help us with that because they were in that classroom. I'm going to say right now, thank you very much. We can't do without everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I encourage everybody that's at the conference just to go out of your way and express your gratitude to all those folks that really put in the hard work before, during, and after the conference. Joe, I know there's something going to be a little bit new at the conference with some technology, some monitors or something. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah. So look for throughout the venue screens about this size that are going to have information displayed on them. And our goal is, so oftentimes there's the, how do I get to this? What's happening? That sort of thing, is try to make that information as readily available as possible. And so, we've got information displays throughout. And then even like up in the Pegram room, that networking cafe, there's phone charging stations up there. So while you're up there for your lunch, plug your phone in, spend some time up there getting to know other ILEETA members. But so that's been kind of a little bit of a. So you asked earlier about change, and Jason Durr asked me at the very first, when we first announced that I was stepping in to be the other, because the whole organization probably knows this as well. Brian Willis is still with us as the deputy executive director that he's been for forever, or for not forever, but for a very long time now. Harvey Hedden as the immediate previous executive director is still with us. Mary Grace Barbie is still with us. So just a couple of names from behind the scenes, doing things. But the
that's called.
well, my train just disappeared on me.
There's that train.
Yeah, where's the train go? Brian Willis and something he does. I don't know. I'll get back to it. I'll remember what it is and I'll just blurt it out. But either way, yeah, we evolution and change. So I was asked, early on, what's going to change? And I said right away, if off the cuff, I wasn't prepared to answer that, I said nothing. I mean, this is such a great organization. There are no major changes. There will be evolution. And that's, what Ray was talking about earlier. And this is one of those slight evolutions. We're going to see more of that sort of stuff, but there's no change.
Yeah. And one thing that, Joe, like you said, with the Pegram area, for ones that if they're listening or haven't been there before, that upper area, with the VR, some of the VR vendors being up there, yeah, we put them up there. It says on the floor, it was a little more, packed, but now people are going to be able to put on the equipment, try it, move it around a little more, airsoft there that you can try out up there. Also, they've been at the conference before, but this allowed them to have a bigger booth to do some of these things. And we are, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on names, but with the pit bumpers up there, excited about that. We are hoping within the next couple of years that if not next year, we can actually have maybe some vehicle contacts brought back in, e-bike brought back in. We haven't done that in a lot of years. So this kind of segue into that. So yeah, we'll make sure people get up there and visit them, use that network area to sit down and stuff too. But we're excited. Those are the evolutions that we're looking at doing, trying to meet those needs and they'll be able to have that interaction that the members can have with them also.
Brian, can we talk the expo just a few minutes here? I think this might be a really good time to do that.
No, this is, yeah, absolutely. Good time. The expo is one of the wonderful things about the conference. You can go in there and there's, I don't know how many vendors that we have this year, but every year it's always packed and there's a waiting list to get on for vendors to come display their awesome products or services that they give to law enforcement trainers and agencies. But it is a valuable asset to ILEETA. And do you guys know how many vendors do we have registered in the expo? Do you guys know
123. And I will tell you, we just met with Jill Johannix recently, and she was explaining, and Mary Grace Barbie has done this for so many years. She is a pro. That she's got more knowledge than I think any of the rest of us will ever be able to collect. But her and Jill have worked together to redo that floor plan with Red Oak, our event planner that we work with, numerous times, because we always want, when somebody comes to us and says, hey, can I get into this expo? And we look at it and we say, that piece of equipment or that service is important to our members. And if you recognize it and we recognize it, you got to get in there. And so they've shifted this floor plan around. I think they're on maybe the 4th iteration, right? I don't know what it is, but it's a high number. And so last I remember it was 123. We're now using the Pegram room. We don't have the end cap ones this year that kind of, push things right up to the very end. We don't have that this year, but there's a lot going on there. And so many different types of vendors.
And we got some mixture of some new vendors also. They heard from another one saying, hey, you need to be here. There's working with some trainers say, you should be at this conference. And they're like, hey, we're calling, hey, can we get in here? Someone, like I said, we're a little more last minute. Some we met at the SHOT Show. Todd, you do a great job there. We a couple introduced us to a couple people there. So yeah, it is. It's exciting to watch, but it's sold out. And it's going to be fun to watch. And like I said, take them off the ends to make a little more room and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
And it's a big, go ahead, Todd.
I think members really, really need to be intentional about taking the time to be down in the expo, talking to those companies and those individuals that are there in support of us, but they're also there to support you, your students, your departments, your agencies. The connections that you can make just at the vendor expo can save you, depending on the size of your agency, a couple $100 to tens of thousands of dollars down the road. Making these contacts with a variety of companies that are going to be represented there, whether it's body armor or uniforms or computer tech. training record type software, education stuff. I was down there talking to a couple of the universities, the degree programs that were represented there over the last several years. I've already got my degree. I had no interest in it, but I got their information. I was able to pass it on, that information, to other students that I had and people that I used to work with that took advantage of those resources. So the information that you get at the expo is not just window shopping. It's not just a shopping expedition. It is every bit as valuable as some of the classes that you may take during the week.
I agree. And what we've learned, working with, Harvey, Mary Grace, and everything else is, because I'm helping on that portion, I taken some phone calls, talked to some of the vendors, and, some we found wouldn't be a good fit for us. And that we let them know that. They said, hey, you're more than welcome to come here. Absolutely. But this is who our audience is, who's going to be here. And it's something that didn't work out well, but I like that we have that portion of doing this because we didn't waste their time to come there and say it was a flop. No, hey, you might want to go over to this show and talk with these guys. And what we always get from a lot of the vendors, like, well, who's our audience? And it's more like, well, who's not your audience? Because you got to remember, it's a lot of these trainers, it's foot on the ground, but also now they're the training lieutenants. Now they're the purchasers. Now they're the sheriffs that are now still trainers that come to the show. You're going to get a good slew of who these people are decision makers, or the ones that are going to talk decision makers. So that's what's so nice about it. Anthony, one of our great supporters that comes help, he is now sheriff where he's at. Going to be there this year helping again. So that's what I mean. So when we talk to vendors, and I really like that, it's not just about selling a booth, it's about what's going to work best for them and what's going to work best for our members.
Well, I think it's important to note that any agency, law enforcement officer in the St. Louis metro area that is not attending the conference, they can go to the expo and check some stuff out. And they don't even have to be a trainer, because there's stuff there that not really training specific. Like Todd pointed out a whole bunch of things, uniforms, equipment, and almost everything is training related. But good grief, there's a gamut of information and equipment and tools and all sorts of resources at that expo area.
Well, and we pushed out to the area, the whole area with a couple of states there. Hey, come on over. Especially if you're looking at buying some, and Milo, hey, you got somebody you want to meet with, bring them over here, see your equipment, bring whoever. Absolutely, because they're going to walk the show, they're going to meet some other people. So it's a win for all of us. They get to do this, and it helps out. And we ask the vendor the same thing. If you got people in the area you want to contact, if they meet the criteria to be in the expo, badge, everything else, won't cost anything. Come on over.
That actually brings up another good point, Ray. You actually mentioned the badge. So I think all of us are part of the expo security. Could you touch on that just to make sure, especially if there are some first-time attendees that are catching this and they're listening about the expo? How do we ensure the safety of the vendors, the safety of the people that are there, the security of the products that are there? What can they expect when they enter that expo area?
So the registration area, you'll get your ID, the badges. Again, this can't thank Calvin Press enough. They're sponsoring those again. You'll have, if you're an attendee, you'll have a green one. If you're a vendor, it's white. You'll have some different colors. Visitors will have a different color. So you'll get that first there for say, and you should wear that all the time, whether you're going into class, coming into the expo, because we're asking instructors, we're gonna have people walk around making sure you're supposed to be in there. So during the expo, you'll have people on each end there. They'll be checking that. If you are coming just for the expo, we're still working out a couple logistics, but we'll have somebody on each end. They'll just check your IDs. We'll give you a visitor pass. Same thing. It'll say visitor on there and have a date on it, so we know you're there for the day. And then you can go walk the expo, things along those lines, meet everybody else, and that hopefully we can have information if you want information on the conference. And like I said, with new people coming from the different areas, we know once we get there and they're talking with people, next year they're going to be back for the conference. They said, yeah, this is where I want to be at next year and have some of our trainers there. So that's how we work it. We've had a couple different people that might want to come next year for the expo's vendors. Hey, can we come walk the show? Absolutely, come on over. You know,
but they'll have a visitor badge this year.
They'll have a visitor, correct? Visitor badge. Like visitor, yes.
Yeah, Todd, you bring up a good point on that. That in the past they would come in, they show their badge at the beginning, and then after that, they may not have one. And so we looked at it this year and said, let's put a badge on them of some sort, and it may be a different color of some sort. So, like Ray said, they're still working out the logistics of it, but they are identified.
Yeah. I want to say Jen picked orange, I think it was. So
okay. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, and I think that is something that's really important, is the safety and security of our members. It's like we've got all of these police officers in one area, and I think that in the past we've taken safety and security very seriously, and it's been to our benefit. It's been to our members' benefit. We've been able to in the past, there are not very many problems, but we were able to head off any potential problems before it actually became a problem because of the focus on safety and security of that training venue. And I think it's important that bring that up, and so everybody's aware of it.
Safety in general right now. And Ray, you had a lot to do with safety over all of the years. Probably, all of us have taught in an environment at this conference and other places where safety is paramount. We do the triple safety checks. There's so much going. Jason.
That would be Crazy Ray Cordell and Ron. They're the ones that are going to have that. So we're getting their product ready.
We should get them one of those wacky inflatable arm men.
Yeah.
Yeah. Safety. Let's talk safety and how we are deliberate and intentional. And we've got Crown mats that have gone out of their way to make sure we've got a safe environment to train in. Each instructor is really diligent about that, but so is everybody else at the conference. So Ray,
so from the safety, it's the same thing. We got the rules out there. This is working with Harvey, Captain Mac over the years. We work off the triple checks. If you're going to be in those rooms there, make sure the triple checks are done. We have somebody go in there, talk to the instructor, make sure to use the mats. Some like to say, hey, I'll just use the carpet. No, we want people on mats. That's what they're there for. We post them on there. Don't have weapons there. We know people are going to have them. They might bring them inside, make your safe area there. If you go past here, they don't have them within that area. From the expo side of it, night we have St. Louis PD. They're great. That we have them there for the expo. The rest of the time, like I said, with the IDs, or even I should say for the different classes, but within the expo, we talk to anybody that has the simulators, different things on what are your precautions to make sure somebody doesn't have their sidearm, they go after their sidearm, so making sure it's put to the side or how they're working at. So we ask those and make sure they're within what we want for our standard. Because, the last thing, we don't want to assume anything, the safety. This year, whether, anybody knows or not, but St. Louis PD, their range is down for maintenance. So we're going to be using St. Louis Range West, very St. Louis Range West. They're very nice to let us use their range and work with on there. So we're working with their safety there of, hey, how they do things, how we do things. Mark will be out there as our safety out there also work with theirs to say this is how we're doing things. So all those little things, like you said, the behind things to make sure and like everybody's really great about it, but we don't assume it. We make sure we're all in the same. We have those discussions. I'll say from a safety aspect from the whole week, members do great. We have people go outside doors, make sure you lock it. You see some not quite right, let us know. And it is. It's we see something around and not rude to them. Hey, how you doing today? Are you part of ILEETA? Well, hey, thanks. Let's help you get to where you got to go in the hotel. Go around, because we've had a couple of years ago, we had the PowerPoint unit stolen. Somebody walked in there. So what they're watching, we're not quite sure, but that's the whole thing. So the safety wise, you'll see that and take look at the safety rules in there, and we'll check. We always work hard, play hard, absolutely. But if somebody has a little too much time the night before, don't go to a firearms class. Don't do those things like that. Because we will have people watching for that. We don't want anybody to get hurt. Did I miss anything on that, Joe?
Nope, you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly, yeah. Yep, safety is the number one thing.
If I can mention one thing, I know he asked about the sales. We do have I think it was Jason just put that up there, the gear. We just opened up that pre-order store. So if you do want to order something for the conference and pick it up there and not save on the shipping, please go take a look at the store. We've got just a few different items. We do have some of our, the stuff we're giving away, a cap and things like that. I think people Work with Beckheimer on some of that this year. NRA shirt is going to be red this year, so a little different, but so we're excited about that. But the gear itself, you kind of see we did a couple different things there. Hopefully people will like. And the ones that missed it, what we're wearing there now, us and Todd, are from the holiday sale with the graphic on it.
Hey, we've hit on the Emerson Hour, the Sunday night first timers. Talk to us about what we can expect for opening ceremonies for those that haven't been to experience the opening ceremony.
You want to take that one, Joe, or the opening?
Yeah,
I think
it's still evolving, to be honest with you. I think because looking at in terms of evolution, there's Ray, myself, and Brian will each kind of be involved in some way, but otherwise, it's opening ceremonies is the key kickoff for the conference. It's an opportunity to, because Sunday night you'll get a little bit from the newcomers as to how the guidebook and kind of charged up for the week. But when you come into opening ceremonies and pretty much the entire conference shows up in force in that room, and I mean it looks magnificent when you see all the members in there, ready to go, ready to train. Logistically, of course, we cover, what to expect from the conference and that kind of stuff. Opening ceremonies is always, truly, impressive. As far as St. Louis does a great job. Who's the St. Louis Police Department? Who's speaking? Who's our guest speaker, Ray?
We don't know yet if we're hoping the chief will be there, or they'll be their designee. They'll be doing the honor guard and singing the national anthem.
Yeah, and so it's always a phenomenal opening that way. And then we announced the trainer of the year, which is just truly an honor to be present and see that happen. And then really it's just kind of that connection piece as we get ready to embark on the conference. And so not much different this year as far as what we've done in the past, but every year is worth being there for, every year. And then let's be honest, if you've been there, I don't know how many people are watching this, and yeah, like Ben just said, it energizes you for the entire week. A lot of that is what I was about to say, is if you've been there, Brian Willis always speaks last. He's a phenomenal speaker, and I've got quotes from pretty much every year up to this point, right, of things Brian says during opening ceremonies. Just that it energizes you, not just for the week, but for the year, for your career. I mean, there's a lot that's said, a lot of energy that's shared there. And it's, just this opportunity to kind of kick off the conference in the right way and then get ready for that first class.
And one of the great things is it's not something that's long and drawn out. I mean, I won't say it's short, but it's concise, to the point, tons of information. It's a great way to start the week and get your bearings, right? And kind of start down that road of, this is gonna be awesome. And because that is for a lot of people that may not be there on Sunday evening, or may not make that first session that Jason's doing on Sunday evening. It's oftentimes their first little venture into the week, and it just sets the tone in just the right way.
Yeah.
I will say one of the you want to say change or evolutions that we did this year also, again, everything's right, is with our program guide. In years past, we've always done portfolios that we hand out for people to take notes. This year, what we did is with the program guide, everybody gets them. We put note-taking material in there. So you'll have that with the bios of all the instructors, the different class descriptions. Then you'll have your pages in there that take notes to kind of make it dual purpose and make somebody can keep those notes with it. So that's one little change. We'll have some for sale if everybody really wants to have to have a paper, but that's what we wanted to make sure that had something that was dual purpose that you could use.
Yeah, I like it.
Another don't miss event. Almost everything is don't miss at the ILEETA Conference. Right. Emerson Hour, the Sunday night event, and opening ceremonies. The trainer of the year, the honor guard marching in. Always a great thing. Is Timmy going to be there with the bagpipes? Do we know?
Not
I'll
this
be
year.
able to make it this year.
Oh, bummer. That's always a special treat for opening ceremonies as well. But hey, I know when we posted this earlier about our ILEETA Live that Brian Willis was going to be on here. Those of us that have traveled and trained and we get the training crud, he's got it. He's under the weather. He sends his regards and sorry that he's not able to be here tonight. But for those that have wondered, where's Brian? He's got that training crud as he's traveling and training. So Brian, if I know you're watching, but we all want you to get well soon and don't spread that to any of us next week.
Yeah, you got a lot of work to do next week. You can't be sick.
But hey, with that said, we got about 5 minutes left and just want to go around. I know, Todd, you got something?
I had a question. So who's this is going to sound like I'm trying to plug my company, but I'm not. Who's the host Wednesday evening for hospitality? We talked about hospitality on Monday, Warrior's Heart, and Tuesday, Command Presence and Milo, and then Wednesday is
Paladin Tactics and Consulting. They are hosting the Wednesday night hospitality, or not hosting, sponsoring the Wednesday night hospitality, which is hosted by the journal editors. And so prior to, let's talk that just real quick. Prior to the Wednesday night hospitality, all journal authors are invited for a gathering in the hospitality room, which we're using the Knickerbocker Jeffersonian this year, which is a little bit different than when we were down in Midway 5. It's upstairs. There's a lounge area out there by the stairs. So, a little bit more comfortable seating and that kind of stuff. So 7:30, the journal authors, hosted by the journal editors and sponsored by Paladin Tactics and Consulting. Then on Wednesday, Todd, go ahead, because I kind of want, as the Emerson Hour reunion piece of this, I want you to, if you don't mind, and I'll announce it, that Combative Firearms is sponsoring the Thursday night hospitality. Super grateful that you guys are doing that, to both you and Paladin, and everything you guys do to make these things possible. And as small businesses, we truly appreciate everything you do. But tell us what's going on Thursday night.
So Thursday night, just prior to the room opening up for everybody, we'll have all of the past Emerson Hour speakers that are going to be in attendance there. 7:30, 7:45 ish. I would love that if you're a past Emerson Hour speaker to come up. I'd like to get some photos. If you're not an Emerson Hour speaker and you want to come meet some of them, that's actually a really good opportunity to do it. And I'm sure that they'll be there when the room opens up at 8 o'clock anyway. But I'd love to have everybody there so we can get some photos, get some, share some Emerson Hour memories Thursday before hospitality.
Yeah, and what I really like with some of these hospitality this year, like with the journal writers, sticking around, talking with some of the members that are there. Hey, if you got questions, come meet the journal writers. What goes into the journal? How do I get involved with it? That's going to be a great time to be able to answer some of those questions if you have them. Because not saying they're going to be there then leave. We're hoping they're going to stick around and be able to just work with all the new members we have, other ones, or even the older members that might have a question. Maybe this time I try to write. I know, like Emerson Hour above. What was that experience for you, like the first years? Brian being there talking about getting this going, and how you started with there's only 20 some people there. Now we're 300 in there. So all the good things like that. Yeah. But we get to all those nights. So thank you, Todd, everybody else for what they do for these social hours, their social times.
Be sure to check out the conference edition of the Journal. And I think Todd did a great article with all the previous Emerson Hour speakers going back to how far back? What year did we start?
2013.
A while ago, way back.
Way back.
Yeah. Well, Joe's beard was only this long,
Actually, Joe couldn't have a beard back then.
Joe had hair on his head back then.
I think Joe. Well, no.
Hey, one more thing before you do close this up is just we at fault for not that mentioned. Joe, how many? We're running over 100 some different tracks of it. How many different trainers do we have coming there? 123
different courses. So trainers, there's some that have multiple trainers in the class. So a little over 130 trainers coming this year, instructors to present classes. I don't have the exact number here. Actually, I wish I did off the top of my head. The total number of hours available for training is overwhelming. And the classes, yes, 123, but when you work that out as to the number of times they're being delivered, it's just mind-blowing. And then we just added, panels. We've got 4 panels this year that are, so we had 3 and then we just added a 4th one. And I do kind of want to address this real quick. So we had the firearms panel that Todd Fletcher's running. We had the use of force panel that John Bostian is running. We had the future of training panel that Robert Cole is running. Well, we are really trying to open things up for our corrections professionals and really get to the next level when it comes to offering the sort of conference that they need when it comes to training as well. We've been largely focused on other things. So this year, Captain Mack, Ron Scheit, Mike Cantrell, and Gary York have put together this panel of, it's more of an open conversation than a traditional panel from the sounds of things, but where do we go with corrections training and getting more corrections involvement? So super cool stuff happening there as well.
So just to bring that, I just want to make sure that it just from all of us here, and I know Joe, myself, but just for myself, just thank you to everybody, to every trainer that's coming there and donating their time. This is what makes it great. This is what makes it work. There's no two ways about it. So, as much as we talk about all these things that make this whole conference go around, but it's all these tracks of training that you're sharing this knowledge that makes it ILEETA what ILEETA is.
I'm so excited.
So there was a question on the countries, and I know we have Germany going to be here before, and I can't remember off Germany,
the Netherlands, the United States, Canada. We had Brazil, but unfortunately that changed. So as of right now, I know those 4 off the top of my head, but I think there's at least one other, and I'm wrong.
Italy, Italy.
Follow.
Oh, Italy, yeah.
And then we got UK coming. Mark's coming now, so we have a couple of our Mark's on the advisory board, so we have there. And as we're working, I know we don't count Puerto Rico, and they're part of the U.S., but again, they're doing some good traveling to get to us also.
Yeah.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. Well, we're at the top of the hour, so I want to thank everybody for joining in and listening to us, and we're all excited for the upcoming 2025 ILEETA Conference and Expo. Todd, any last thoughts, comments before we close out?
Come to Emerson Hour. Come to the firearms instructor panel. See you next week.
Joe, last comments, thoughts?
I can't wait to see everybody. I miss you guys from year to year. My batteries are being charged like everybody else's. I am super excited to be there, and I can't wait to see you.
5 days, yeah.
Ray.
So same thing. See everybody next week. Eric and I are leaving Friday. Joe, we'll see you there Friday as we get some stuff set up as everybody comes in. Like I said, if you see me walking around, please stop and talk. The opening ceremony is nice, but those other interactions, what I really want to hear what you got to say and how we can improve things. And as always, from just a little writing I do as far as the thank yous, but please thank your families, for giving you the time, helping you be the trainer you are. We can't do without those supports. So any of your families out there listening, thank you very much. And I'm excited to see your loved ones if you're coming with and meeting you also. So thank you.
What another wonderful ILEETA Live that we had. But hey, folks, if you're coming to the ILEETA conference and you're alone by yourself from your agency, look any of us up. We'll go out to dinner. We'll go out to lunch. We'll go have a coffee, an adult tasty beverage or whatever. But no need for anybody to hang out by themselves and be off to the side. There's so many people that are willing to engage with you and get to know you. That's what ILEETA is all about. There's no egos. It's a wonderful organization. Everybody is approachable. And we are all looking forward to meeting you. So we'll see you next week. 5 more days.
All right.
All right, you guys. Wonderful chat tonight. And looking forward to seeing everybody next week.